ESPN 690. Overtime with Kuhrts and Middleton, joined by Austen Lane, the one and only. And I know you have to be at least somewhat excited to talk about the Jags right now.
I am. Yeah, I mean, especially after that last game. You know, my only bit, like, I'm sad I didn't go to that game, right? Because the first game I went to this year was the alumni weekend against the Houston Texans. I brought my son with his first NFL game ever. Awesome. And I'm like, all right, dude, I mean, it's going to be a Jaguars win today. Houston Texans, they got nothing, okay? And he's all excited. He's a big Jaguars fan and sat in that 95-degree heat and it didn't work out, right? It just didn't go good. Son might have been a little upset with me. It is what it is. We had to stay till the end of the game, yada, yada, yada. But then we fast forward to now. And, yeah, what you saw, you know, against the Ravens is what Trevor Lawrence is capable of, right? Like, we always talked about how when the Jaguars drafted him, it's about the hope, right? And then I think when the season started, you kind of lost a little bit of hope. You know, they whooped the Chargers, the hope is back, and then all of a sudden you lose to the Houston Texans, and it kind of goes down the drain again. I mean, that's the best I've ever seen Trevor look.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can build off that, you got something special there.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring it up and how you play it out, because I sat up there with Brian Middleton and had a tweet in my drafts that said, how wild is it going to be when C.J. Stroud and Trevor Lawrence are in Jags camp next year? And I was like, should I tweet this? Should I send this out? And Brian's like, I wouldn't. I would hold.
Just to see how this rides
so
out.
I've officially deleted that tweet,
good for
which
you.
is good.
Great for you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Trevor, the hope is here. The hope is alive. A win over the Ravens is obviously exciting. Is there... I mean, this is it, right? There's do we think the up and up continues for Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Is this can he be better, I guess, is the question.
No, absolutely. So, you know, this is this up and coming game, and then I think it's the Houston Texans coming up next and after the Lions, right? If I'm not mistaken, or who? It's the Lions.
They have who do they have?
Might be.
I'm looking right now. I just know I'm singularly focused on the Lions, but you know, who else do they have?
Well, as far as the Lions,
Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee. My bad. Okay, Tennessee. Yeah. So those are going to be two very telling games for two different reasons. The story, in my opinion, with the Jaguars, you know, the past couple of years is they've had those surprising games, right? You go to last year, they beat the Buffalo Bills. Now, it wasn't pretty. It was 9-6 or whatever it was.
Not pretty.
It wasn't a high-powered offense game, but they somehow beat the miraculous Buffalo Bills, and the Bills go into their thing, and they're a solid team. So we've seen glimpses before. We saw it against the Chargers already, and now we saw it against the Ravens. What I want to see is, can you beat a team that you're supposed to beat? Because I get it. With all due respect to Campbell and the Lions, I mean, you know, they're a hard-nosed team, and I have respect for Campbell and all those guys. But the Jaguars should theoretically win this game. They're going against the worst defense right now in the NFL, right? So we should see at least 30 points out of this Jaguars offense, you know, pending if Travis Etienne's going to play or not. But regardless of that, we should see a great game from this offense. And we should see a defense that builds off of, you know, this past week against the Ravens. So if I can see that, then yeah, I think the sky is the limit for this team. And then if you can play the Tennessee Titans and match them physically, because that's who the Titans are, right? They're a physical team. If you can somehow match them physically and show, you know what, we're not going to back down, because it's been the same story year in and year out, right? Thursday night football every single year, because it seems like Thursday night football is Titans and Jaguars. But it's been the same story every year. If you can match that physicality and at least keep it close against a very good Titans team, then yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of hype this season, but obviously next year as well.
Well, the crazy thing is, right, with the Titans, you still got them twice.
Yeah.
If the Eagles can somehow beat them this week and you beat the Lions, the Jags literally control their own destiny 2 games out of the – isn't that wild?
It's so wild, especially how the season started out.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think, you know, when I was on this show, I think we all talked about, like, our predictions. I think I might have had 6 wins or 5. I think it was 6 wins. You know, now it's almost like 6 wins seems like, you can do better than that.
Yeah.
You know, like, we should maybe see 7 wins out of this team. And it's a testament to Doug Pederson, number one, obviously changing the whole culture around from what was the nightmare last year with Urban Meyer. And it's showing the progressiveness now of Trevor Lawrence. And if he can keep that rolling, if Doug Pederson can keep this team playing how they're playing, they should be able to win 6-7 games.
How great is it that they somehow found their way back to Doug Pederson? You remember that whole thing?
Oh, man.
When we didn't think it was going to happen?
Well, I mean, I remember an envelope that didn't have Doug Pederson's name in it, first of all. I mean, I don't want to give any shots out or anything like that, but Doug Pederson was the last thing on really anybody's mind, it seemed like, in this city. You know, I mean, I was the big proponent of Byron Leftwich, because he's a former player. He understands the locker room dynamics. It made a lot of sense to me. But then, you know, when Doug Pederson was still available, it's like, okay, I mean, there's something to be said for this. And maybe I understand a little bit of why there was some drawback from getting Doug Pederson. Because, yeah, dude won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. I mean, you should get a Medal of Honor just for that alone. But also, you got to remember how it ended in Philadelphia, right? I mean, there was the quarterback controversy with Jalen Hurts when he first got there of who's playing and who's not playing. So, like, he kind of left on bad terms in Philly, and maybe some team saw that and said, well, we don't really want that here on our team. Jacksonville took a chance, and obviously it's paying dividends right now.
It is working out right now. That is Austen Lane on Overtime with Kuhrts and Middleton, and I have to ask you about this because not only do the Jags play the Lions, but Aiden Hutchinson plays for the Lions. Travon Walker plays for the Jags.
Yeah.
Let's start with Travon Walker.
Yeah.
What's the situation?
So
man?
if you remember, like one of my last breakdowns I ever did of Travon Walker, I said that you have to be patient with him because he reminds me a lot of Rashawn Gary of the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
And if you remember Rashawn Gary from the Green Bay Packers, you know, a draft pick out of Michigan who had a lot of promise, a freak of nature at the combine, right? But didn't really have the numbers to back it up, right? He was playing inside a little bit. I think his last year in Michigan, he played on the outside, but didn't really have the quarterback sack numbers. So it made you a little leery, much like Travon Walker. So then fast forward, you know, Rashawn Gary's first couple years, he's kind of there. You know, I mean, they had Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith, so he was kind of like on the back end of the depth chart, but he didn't really make an impact until last year. And when we saw Travon Walker in preseason, I was like, oh, well, he's not Rashawn Gary anymore. He's going to be like the next reincarnation of, you know, Von Miller, whoever the case may be, because like this guy was legit in preseason. And we saw that the first couple of games, and then it kind of fell off by the wayside a little bit. And then you started to see a little mental errors in the run game, you know, being lost out of position sometimes. So I think with Travon Walker, listen, he's got all the physical attributes, right? He has all the intangibles. He has what you want out of your prototypical, you know, defensive end / outside linebacker. He just needs the reps, and he has to put it together. Like I'm not going to call this. I'm not worried really at all. Obviously, I think that the play in the run game has to be a little better because sometimes you do see he's out of position. But once again, keep in mind what we're talking about here. We're talking about a guy who at Georgia was playing literally every position.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden you ask this guy to come in the first pick of the draft, and it's like, all right, well, you have to be the guy now. And I think sometimes those expectations can be a little unfair just because I get it. You're the #1 overall pick. We expect you to make a huge impact, but he's still learning the position.
Yeah. You say you're not worried, and I definitely take your advice on that. You see Aiden Hutchinson, though. And again, it has not been he has okay numbers. It hasn't been fantastic the whole time, right? He's had some big games. He's had some games where he's been disappearing, but when you look at what Aiden Hutchinson has been, do you think they made the wrong decision?
See, and I think this was kind of the overall consensus, though, even when Hutchinson and Walker came out, right? We said how Hutchinson seems to be the guy that's more NFL ready right now. You know, it kind of reminds you of like the Bosa brothers a little bit, right? Like when the Bosa brothers came out, their combine numbers, they were kind of, I mean, it was whatever. But you knew like they had the intangibles, they had the pass rush skill set. Like they're going to come in right away and make a difference. Kind of the same thing with Hutchinson. You know, obviously he plays on probably the worst defense right now in the NFL. So, I mean, he's getting a lot of reps.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he has made a lot of splash plays. And I just think that's coming from experience, #1. And #2, just obviously he plays with such a high motor where sometimes you fall into those quarterback sacks.
Yeah. Let's take it to the other side because I wrote an article that was not super well received about why they should potentially trade Josh Allen. As in the Jags.
No, I saw this article, by the way.
Thank you, Austin.
Yeah, I got you.
So I just think what it comes down to is Josh a good player? Yeah. But can you pay him that huge money that he's going to want, right? You see the other guys getting paid, and I looked at some of the other deals, and I think that $13 million is right, but I don't expect Josh Allen to take $13 million.
No, I mean, if you're Josh Allen, why would you take $13 million?
Right.
You know, I mean, like, I get it. Maybe you get a hometown discount. You know, Jacksonville, you know, they drafted you. You kind of fell in love with the city, and that's great and everything. But it's like I always say, Kasey, it's not about how much money you make. It's what the money says.
Yes.
Right? So if the Jaguars go to Josh Allen and say, hey, we want to give you $12, $13 million, if I'm Josh Allen, I'm like, I could probably do better someplace else. You know, like, how much do you want me for what I've done for this team? So, yeah, if you can get Josh Allen $12, $13 million, then absolutely. Is that going to happen? I have no idea. But I think if we're talking about 17, 18, even $19 million for what, you know, edge rushers are going for these days, you might have to look another place until I see more productivity, you know, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, you can say, all right, Calais Campbell helped him that 1 year where he kind of had the breakout season. That's great. But now, I mean, listen, you have some pretty, I mean, you have some adequate, I would say solid to maybe solid defensive linemen to get the push up the middle. You got to finish, you know, and that's on Josh Allen and Travon Walker. But the difference is with Travon Walker, he's a rookie. Josh Allen has been for here
you
for a
get
while.
to pass, right, if you're Travon Walker to figure it out and figure out the position. Is Josh playing better than I think what the stats say, right? Stats say 3 sacks. The pressures are somewhat, is he better than that? Are we giving him too much flack? But kind of the way you're talking is like, well, he's not performing enough.
Well, no, so we're all preconceived as, as quote unquote, experts of the NFL, whatever you want to call it, where if you don't have the quarterback sacks, you're not a good edge rusher. And that's a lie, right? Because you can have quarterback pressures. You can have quarterback hits. You can affect the quarterback's, his arm land, he throws an interception. Like, that's all on the defensive end / edge rusher. So Josh Allen has done that. But at the end of the day, when you go to the table, when you go and say, hey, I want a new contract, they're going to say, okay, well, his PFF grade's pretty good. But you know what? NFL teams don't really care about that. NFL teams care about the big-time plays, the quarterback sack, the strip sacks, all that stuff. And we haven't seen a lot of that from Josh Allen. So, yeah, I think he's getting a little underappreciated for what he's done. But at the same time, if you want that big contract, I think you have to earn it. And if you go to the numbers, regardless of what PFF says and all that stuff, I don't think he's earned the big contract.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. With that, we'll see how that plays out with the Jags. Let me take you back to the offense. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, we got to talk about Jeff Saturday, though, before I leave the show, because I got a big thing to say about Jeff Saturday. But let's go back to the offense.
Okay, well, then we will definitely do that. And the last one I'll ask you about the Jags is, can you believe Travis Etienne is this good right away?
No, absolutely not.
I mean,
no.
It is incredible.
I was disappointed to see them let James Robinson go. Sure. Right, because after what James Robinson accomplished his rookie year, should have been a Pro Bowler if it wasn't for Josh Jacobs. It was more of a popularity contest than anything. I've been super impressed with Travis Etienne. My only worry is that are you going to throw a too big of workload on his shoulders, right? Because, I mean, if you watch the way that he plays and watch the way that he runs, yes, fast twitch, has the speed, game-breaking speed, but can he handle a full NFL workload? I mean, they got Darrell Henderson in now, so we'll see how he kind of falls in to this Jaguars offense. I mean, could have kept James Robinson, but whatever. It's James Robinson, Darrell Henderson, kind of whatever. But
need those 6th-round picks.
Say it one more time.
Could have kept James Robinson, but it is what it is. And then the New York Jets are just, keeping him on the bench, so they don't have to give him a 5th-round draft pick for whatever reason. But that's another story. But I think I've been very impressed with Travis Etienne. The only thing is how much workload can this dude handle?
Yeah.
Hey, one thing before you move on the stream, Kasey, I don't know if you're catching it.
Go ahead. No, I'm not.
But it says husband and wife gaming says when he was selected higher than Parsons, this is what you expect. Allen drafted number 7, Parsons number 11.
Well, like Micah Parsons?
Yeah, that's
so. I mean, different drafts for sure, but I mean, you can see what one guy's doing drafted later. I get the point.
Oh yeah. I mean, Micah Parsons obviously is absolutely one of the best edge rushers right now in the entire NFL. And, in terms of I remember Micah Parsons coming out of college, right? And they're like, is he going to play middle linebacker? Is he going to play outside linebacker? You watched like his numbers and just I think he ran a 4.3 if I'm not mistaken, right? Well, yeah, no matter where you put him, he's going to make a difference. He started out middle linebacker, and then the Dallas Cowboys moved him to the edge, and now the rest is history. Yeah, obviously when you take a guy in the top 10, he has to have that huge impact on your team. Micah Parsons has. Josh Allen has a little bit, but obviously not as much.
Brian, I know we're close on the break. Don't bring the music. We'll figure out the break. I'll take the flack if we need to, because one thing that's definitely going to happen right now is, I don't know what you got to say about Jeff Saturday. Yeah. I think I know where you might be going, but I might
like
not.
Let's go viral. I like it.
So,
no, okay. First of all, what are your guys' opinions on Jeff Saturday real quick?
I laughed at it.
As did I. Brian?
I didn't laugh at it. I was confused on why he would want that kind of struggle in his life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's my conspirity theory that I haven't really seen a lot on the interwebs.
Oh, we got music for that.
But I'm going to, please hit me with it.
There we go.
Oh, wow. Little X-Files. I like this, man. All right. Kasey, let's say that you became the next Stephen A. Smith of the radio, right? A sports radio, right?
Okay.
And let's say that you got like a 7-digit kind of house, right?
Oh.
And let's say that you're going on vacation for a week with that house. Someone's got a house at that house, correct?
Yes.
Are you going to trust a good friend, or are you going to trust a stranger to babysit that house?
Good friend.
Correct. Do you know who's really good friends with Jeff Saturday?
Jim Irsay?
Peyton Manning.
Okay.
It's my theory that the only reason why Jeff Saturday got the gig was to hold it down for Peyton Manning next season, because Peyton Manning had to see his ESPN contract through with his Monday Night Football stuff.
Now that's how you conspiracy theory.
And that's why I think Jeff Saturday got the job over anybody else, because when you turn it over, who better to pick your brain from than one of your best friends?
Next level.
Take it for how you want. I think Jim Irsay had a master plan the entire time. And I think that master plan involves Peyton Manning coming back to coach.
Chestnut checkers.
That is incredible.
Holy smokes.
I haven't seen that floated around anywhere.
Yeah,
Holy
me neither.
smokes. Write an
That's why you're
article.
one of a kind.
Dude, that's
Get
what I'm
an
saying.
article, get it out there.
As soon as they signed Jeff Saturday, I'm like, oh, it's because of Peyton Manning. But that's what I thought.
That's
so.
wild. I don't
Yeah.
think any other person on the planet said, "Oh, that's because of Peyton Manning."
Yeah. Well, because why else would you hire Jeff Saturday?
I get you.
I mean, I was trying to justify. I mean, where's my call then? You know what I'm saying? I'm at the wall that says it all. I was breaking down film. I can do this job. Give me a break. I can motivate men.
Oh man.
Whatever, man.
Real quick before we get
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
here,
Oh, wow.
give an update though. What's going on with the UFC stuff? Obviously, we
Yeah.
had you on before the fight. I'm not sure if we had you on after. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
what an incredible moment for you.
Yeah.
I know it's a full circle for you, but you're in the UFC.
Yeah, man, I'm in the UFC. I'm still waiting on that first fight. I wanted to fight actually this weekend in Orlando.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when that Dana White Contender Series fight was done, that card was already booked, right? So it's looking like sometime, hopefully in February or March, I'm going to get that call. And I'll be ready, man.
Ready
you know,
to
I
go.
mean, it was a little adversity in that fight, but thankfully I'm good. I'm good. My nose, I seriously look like Gonzo from the Muppets with my nose. I mean, I am literally one broken nose away from straight up Gonzo nose, but it is what it is, man. Tell me I'm not, Brian. It's all right. You can be honest. But no, man, I'm excited, man. You know what it is? I work very hard at it, so it was cool to see that part of my journey fulfilled, and now it's on to bigger and better things in the UFC.
It's incredible. And again, I haven't been here the whole time, but through the last couple parts of it to get you there, I can't explain to you. And again, I'm sure you've heard this from a lot of people, including like, I don't know, your wife and your mom, but
Yeah.
I was so nervous
Sure.
for it. And like, I never had a doubt that you were going to win.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I guess it was just the UFC logo or what it was. I was like,
Yeah.
every time like anything happened, I was like, and Amanda was like, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and you know, I'll leave it with this. It's like I always tell my wife and I always tell my mom, I understand that you're all nervous for me, and I appreciate that like you wouldn't believe. But at the end of the day, if you ever watch me when I go in the cage, I have the biggest smile on my face. Because to me, I'm like a kid. It's like my playground again. You know, like I wouldn't be doing this sport if I wasn't absolutely enjoying it, right? I mean, life is too short to be doing things that you don't enjoy doing. So I enjoy fighting. It makes me extremely happy. And every time I walk in the cage, I got a smile on my face. So don't worry about, being nervous, because I'm not nervous, man. So just be happy and enjoy the show.
Can we clap it up for Austen Lane,
I
please, coming on
appreciate
the
y'all,
show?
man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much,
dog.
Austen Lane, the guy.
You all keep doing a great job, by the way, too, man. I'm a big fan of you guys.
Thanks,
so,
man.
No
I
problem.
appreciate you. Austen Lane, sliding through for a couple of minutes. We take a break, another half hour to go. Overtime with Kuhrts and Middleton. We will be right back.